Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is solder on the receiver. Now, I had one on here previously for the 5-inch build, so I've still got the wires from the last one connected, so I'm just going to desolder them one at a time and put them back on. Okay, grab our tweezers. Okay. Yeah, I'm just checking to see. Okay. And just making sure that I've got the right pads. Okay. Okay. Okay, and red. Get a bit more solder on this tip. I'm just going to redo that one. There we go. Okay. And the ground. All right, turn the soldering iron off. Now, get a smoke stopper. I shouldn't need a smoke stopper, to be honest, but oh, what's interesting is I forgot I haven't so here's what I will do. Let's plug this in. I don't know if this is enough to power the receiver or not. We're going to find out. Apparently it is. Okay. Now let's turn on the receiver. I'm using my trusty Tyrannus QX7.
Welcome to OpenTX. Throttle warning, switch warning.
Okay. There we go. Okay. Got a green light. There's the connection that I just made to the port 5. So let's go back over to Betaflight, go to the ports tab, and then port 5 will enable as serial. And let's just check that again. Okay, so this is the DJI plugin, and it's T1R1. So that's the MSP port. UR1 is going to be MSP. So let's save and reboot. Okay. Now, if we go to the receiver pad, there we go. Look at that. Okay, things are working. It's a big start. All right, let's configure modes next. We won't hide, so arm. Okay. And I don't use angle or horizon or any of these things. Beeper. Box 3. And is there a GPS? You know what I didn't do, because I didn't configure the GPS. Let's do that. And I don't have it installed. What we can do is at least get it enabled and configured. Okay. And it doesn't show the GPS yet because I don't have it installed. Oh, maybe I need to use the port. So I think what we're using for GPS is going to be port 3. Okay, so that's fine. Let's go to the ports, port 3, and we'll turn that on to GPS, save and reboot. Okay, good. Now there's a GPS line here. Of course, it's not hooked up yet, so you're not going to see anything. Okay, so in the modes tab, I should now see a GPS rescue. Okay. And there's GPS rescue on that aux3. Okay, and pre-arm. I always use a pre-arm. Let's make sure this is working. Okay, aux2. So modes. And flip over crash. It's going to be aux2 on the third point, and pre-arm's going to be on the midpoint there. Okay, and we'll save. Now let's hide unused. Okay, so we've got arm, GPS rescue, beeper, flip over after crash, and pre-arm. And that is essentially what I set up on all my drones. I don't do anything more than that usually. Now, once Betaflight has some of these new features, I understand they're going to be doing position hold and whatnot. I'll have to rethink my configuration then. Okay, so we've done receiver, PID tunes, fail safe. Let's just double check that. We're going to use GPS rescue. Allow arming without fixed, yes. Save and reboot. Because sometimes I just want to get it up in the air and I'm not too worried about it if I'm just flying close to me. Okay, presets, PID tuning done. Okay, well, I'll go to PID tuning for a second. Let's look at the rates. I haven't touched anything here. I'm going to go to Betaflight. That's typically the rates I use. Refresh. Okay, we've got a little bit of drift there. That means I think I'm going to have to... Oh, that's why. I bumped a bunch of my trim buttons. There we go. There! Now it's not moving. Okay, Betaflight. And I usually like things up around 800-ish, so bump up the rate to like 76. I like pitch a little lower. And I like yaw also fairly high. I'm going to put a little bit of expo. Let's say 20 on pitch, 10 on roll, and 10 on yaw as well. Okay. And I'm not doing anything with the throttle. Although I may be in the future. I may put that on a switch. And actually, I'll show you how to do that, because it's pretty useful. Let's go back over to the receiver tab. I just want to check if I've got... Okay, aux4. Alright, so aux4 we're going to use for adjustments. We're going to be able to switch between 3 different PID profiles. So just follow these steps here. And rate profile selection. Okay, and say, oh, sorry. First off, I've got to make sure they're all configured. I'm going to move these sliders around. Okay, and save. Alright, so now we'll go back to PID tuning. We will go back to rate profile. Now, look at the profile here. I'm going to flick the switch on my transmitter. Number 2 and number 3. Okay? So I've got 3 rate profiles at my disposal. What I typically do with these is for, like, say, rate profile number 2, I do a throttle limit. I scale to, like, I don't know, 75% or something. And this is just to give me a little less power if I'm flying around the house or, you know, just somewhere where I don't want to be have too much power, overpowered, right? And with a 3.5 inch, they're pretty punchy. They've got a lot of get up and go. Okay, so anyway, there we are. So I'll leave the other rate profiles alone for now. Motors we've already looked at. Directions reverse, D-Shot 600, bidirectional D-Shot is enabled, and that you require BL Heli 32 for your ESC firmware, which is already in place, I believe, so we should be okay. Set up our OSD really quickly. I typically have, we're going to have altitude. We are going to have, I like using battery average cell voltage, so I don't like to do the number crunching in my head. I like to know, you know, how close this is to 3.5 volts. That's what I look at. And then milliamps drawn. So how much of my battery have I used? Right? So if you've got a 1000 milliamp battery and you've burned 69, you know, you've got 69% used. Craft name. We'll put that on the bottom, sure, why not? Okay. Flight distance, I don't really care about. Fly mode, I'm always in acro. Okay, GPS, yes. Typically put my GPS up here. Whoops. Latitude and longitude. Okay. SATs, yes. Put that up here. GPS speed, yes. Typically put that with the altitude. Home direction, not as useful. I find that often gives me problems. Home distance, sure. So there it gives me direction and distance to getting home. Put the warnings a little bit lower. Timers are good. Fly timer and time on. Okay, so that's usually how I configure my OSDs. Okay, so that's about it for Betaflight. The only thing we have to do now is finish hooking up the rest of the quad, and then we're going to be good to go. We're going to test things out. So let's get back to the bench.
Well, hi folks, this is Hugh from the future. Just wanted to let you know, in the next video clip, you'll see what appears to be the VTX and the ESC already installed. They're not really installed, I just placed them. I had to place the camera and the VTX on the bottom of the frame so that I could put the ESC on top. So what I've done is I've just taped them down temporarily, and then you'll watch me solder them up and hook everything up in the video to follow. So anyway, just wanted to give you a heads up, that's what's coming.
All right, next up is we're going to solder the GPS on. And I'll tell you what, these are the tiniest wires I've ever soldered, so this should be interesting. And I apologize if you can't see very clearly, but it's just so tiny in there, it's very hard for me to get in, so you may not have the best view here. But we're going to get her down anyway. There's red. And I'm just referring to the diagram so that I make sure I get all these correct. Okay, first pad should be power.
VTX is white, so it's going to RX. So it's going to the next pad. So let's see if we can do this a better way. All right. There's white. Okay. Again, sorry if you can't see this. Very tight quarters. Okay. Okay, there's white. Wait a second. All right, then yellow. All right, blue is SB, which is there. And then green is SCL, the clock, which is there. Okay. That should be the GPS wired up. And the reason I had to do it like this is because I had to run it through this little TPU mount that I've got. And there wasn't all that much room, so I needed to make sure that the wires were run through that little channel before I put it all on. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is I'm just gonna check to make sure the GPS is working. I've opened up Betaflight and you can see the GPS is working. As long as it's colored, that means it is configured. Red means it's not got a lock, which is fine because we're inside. But I just wanted to show you that the GPS, in fact, was working. Okay. I don't think we need to set anything here. U-blocks is the appropriate protocol, and the GPS is going to fix, obviously, when we're outside. So anyway, good, that's done. I was going to actually put the flight controller on, but it occurs to me that I still haven't done the motors. I should probably do that first before we do anything else. Yep. And I just need to kind of give a sense for where this is going to be. Okay, right there. Okay. I unplugged the GPS for a minute because I had to run the wire back through this TPU mount. Okay, I think what I'll do is, there we go. We'll just pull off the mount for a minute on the so she's going to go there. What I'll do is I will attach the motors. So here are the motors, by the way, from MEPS King. These are their new 1404 motors. And we got hardware. And we got a motor. Okay. Yeah, so here's the new motors. They're silver with a bit of a kind of a green tint to it. Anyway, not too bad, eh? Okay, so get a sense for how much wiring I'll need. Yeah, all right. Let's do a couple things. what I'm going to do is tie my flight controller and my VTX down with a piece of tape, just because stuff's kind of wired up over there and I don't want it moving around. So there. Put a loop of tape around that. And then we'll get started mounting the motors. And to make this process a bit easier, let's get out our scissors here. And we will put our, these are the nuts for the top, for the canopy of the 3.5 inch. By the way, in case I haven't mentioned it, this is the AOS 3.5 V5. It's the newest one from Chris Rosser. There's not even any documentation on it as far as I know, so it took me a little bit to get the camera housing built, that's for sure. Okay. Get the bolts out. We'll open up all 4 of these motors. All right, got all 4 motors out. So let's get these screws. Let's get him in. All right, so there's 1 motor done. I'm not going to make you watch all 4. I'll do them and then I'll come back. All right, there it is with the motors on. Starting to look like a quad, isn't it? Yeah. All right, so the next thing we need to do is route the motor wires, cut them, tin them, and almost there. Okay, so trim the motor wires. Always trim a little more than you think you need because you can't uncut the wires. So yeah, make sure you got enough. We'll strip these guys off. Okay. All right, the back's gonna have a little bit more length.
All right, here we go. All right, I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to tin the wires. You guys don't need to see me do that. That's pretty boring. Wires are all tinned up. Let us solder on the motor wires. Now I got to make sure that my video cable is underneath my ESC. Okay, let's make sure that goes down. There we go. I just want that tucked under so it's not getting bumped or broken. Actually, we'll do it this way. And there we go. There are 4 motor wires installed. All right, now we got to start buttoning this thing all up. But yeah, starting to look like a drone now, isn't it? Now, Chris had designed it so that the XT30 comes out the top here, but I'm going to be running, at least temporarily going to be running an action cam on the top, so I need that spot. So I'm running the XT30 out the back here, as you can see. Okay, everything's hooked up. Now it's time to actually bolt the flight controller and the ESC together. Let's remove my temporary tape. Okay, let's attach the flight controller to the ESC. There we go. All right. Okay, let's make sure this XT30 comes up on the other side of the wires. Okay, there we go. Now, a couple things before I put all this together, because I need the room. I'm going to have to attach the antenna to the VTX, so let's do that now. Just one screw, basically. Just a little one on the side. If any of you've got Vistas, I've done this, oh, I don't know, 500 times. Taking the little cover off. Okay. And the antenna. I actually got quite a long antenna wire. Okay, that's on. Now we get the little tab back on over it. Like I say, I've done this a few times. Okay, I think that's it. Actually, I'm not sure if I got that in the right way. There's a tiny little nub that this has to go catch under here. So I'm going to make sure that's seating correctly. No, I don't think it is. Okay. A little bit fussy sometimes. There we go. Okay, Vista installed. Now, I'm not going to actually bolt the Vista down. Well, actually, no, because the 20 by 20 pushes it too far forward. And what I would like is for the Vista to sit back a little bit. So I think I'm just going to put a zip tie on there. That should do what I need done. Let's make sure this cable's on the top, because that's going to plug into the flight controller. Like so. Alright. So, yeah, now we just need to bolt everything together. I guess we'll zip tie down the CADX Vista unit first. Okay. Alright. That looks like it should be okay. Push it back a little bit. Oh, I see. By going in those slots, it kind of pushes it a little bit forward. Well, I think that should be okay. Got enough clearance there for everything. Let's push up one of these screws and see where they are. Just like that. Okay, good. Good. Interesting. Now, all right. GPS is back. Hopefully the wire's good. Now, all that remains is a power-up test. Let's see how things are working. Plug in a smoke stopper. And plug in some power. Oh! Look at that, I hear good sounds. All right, folks, well, that's pretty much wraps up the video. So thanks very much for watching the build. And yeah, the only thing I did change in the end, I just thought I'd mention, is I swapped out the CATX Vista unit and I splurged and bought myself an O3 air unit. Yeah, so, and what I did there was I used a piece of double-sided tape instead of the zip tie to fasten the O3 air unit down to the back of the quad. So anyway, flight videos coming soon. Spoiler, it flies really well, really, really well. It's amazingly powerful. Anyway, see you in the next video, guys. Ciao.